start again. It's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks game reaction. The Chicago Bulls came into this game at halftime with the lead and ended up falling away in the second half as we lose to the Atlanta Hawks. And our losing streak now extends to 3 in a row. And I know many people will be angry about this game, and every right to be. But we're going to be talking about the positives and the negatives of this game, because there are some things that I saw today that I did like, but obviously the most important thing is we didn't win the game, and it's a game that we had to win, in my opinion. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who's your player of the game, your overall thoughts and opinions, as the Chicago Bulls did lose and we lost this game 130 to 124. Now, let's be honest, we versed Atlanta 4 times this season. We've won 3 out of the 4 games. So if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at that season series, a 3-1 victory in the season series is not bad at all for the Chicago Bulls. But considering where we are at the moment, the schedule that we have ahead of us, and obviously the team that we're facing that have a below 500 record, these are one of the games that we simply could not lose, yet the Chicago Bulls did find a way to lose this game. It's a bit frustrating to lose this game when we were up. We had a couple of times we were up by 10 or so points, but for the most part, Atlanta did a great job in coming back. And Atlanta, I've always said, are a very talented offensive team, and you let one of the best, I guess, offensive players in the league in Trae Young catch fire, and they did come back because of that. So you got to give credit to the Atlanta Hawks where it's due. And for the Chicago Bulls, I thought we did not manage the game very well whatsoever. I thought our transition defense was not good enough at all, but that's been an ongoing theme. Pick and roll defense, transition defense, sleeping, pump fakes, stuff of that nature has always been an issue for the Chicago Bulls without Caruso and Lonzo in the team, and that ranged true today. Not very sure why the Chicago Bulls decided that it was best to leave some of their guys open for threes, but that's what bad pick and roll defense does. You get guys like Zach LaVine switching to Clint Capella, or DeMar DeRozan switching whoever's on the floor, and then you leave the open corner shooters there ready to shoot the ball. And today they worked on it. They got 45% from the three-point line, I believe it was, 18 threes in the whole game. That's very good for Atlanta. And then obviously when Trae Young has 1 or 2 shots that go in, obviously the basket just gets massive for him, and he can make everything from there. So that's what an all-star caliber player could do to you, ladies and gentlemen, and we deserve to lose. But it's frustrating. It is frustrating to lose this game considering the circumstances where we are. We now have confidence probably at one of the all-time lows of this season with this 3-game losing streak, and knowing that we've got a back-to-back now. We've got to travel to Chicago to verse the Milwaukee Bucks. That's going to be a big game for our season. That's a big game for the Chicago Bulls, and maybe that confidence is not going to be there after a loss against the Atlanta Hawks. So moving into some of the positives, we finally saw it, ladies and gentlemen. We finally saw Tristan Thompson and Nikola Vucevic on the floor together. Billy Donovan has been answering the prayers of many Bulls fans today, and we got to see those 2 guys play on the floor together. And I thought it worked out well for the most part, but there were some things that I'd like to see improved. First things first is finding the big man when they're in the post. I feel like this has been a big issue all season, but when you have 2 big men in the post, when you have wide open guys in the paint and we're simply not passing the ball to them, that's unacceptable. That's basic basketball. That's bigger guy on a smaller guy, or that's simply just a wide open guy in the paint, and we're deciding to throw to the corners, deciding to not really have a post entry, anything of that nature. That has to improve for the Chicago Bulls. There's no point in playing 2 bigger bodies on this team, especially when Atlanta did not have the bigger team in today's game when Tristan Thompson and Vucevic were on the floor together. You've got to enter the post much more, and you've got to find the post players much more than we did today. There were a couple of times where I saw Tristan Thompson in the post against guys like Bogdanovic, or simply just wide open calling for the ball in the paint, and we're not finding him. And these are the things that we need to fix. That's obviously going to come in time, in my opinion, with Tristan Thompson learning how he plays, and he's commanding. He's a guy that's going to ask for the ball, scream for the ball, but we got to find a way to give him the ball. I thought our bench scoring overall was actually very good today, but just a couple of times we could have seen a little bit more out of Tristan Thompson if the Bulls passed him the ball in the paint. I think we could have done better over in that area. And again, transition defense was poor. Pick and roll defense was poor. Those are always going to be issues for the Chicago Bulls. The positives, much more balanced scoring, especially in the first half. And more specifically, we saw the assist numbers improve a lot in today's game. I don't have all the individual performances with me. I don't usually do that when we lose. But you got Vucevic that had around 5 assists. I think DeMar had close to a double-double, 9 assists. Ayo had 4 assists. Levine had 7 assists. Then you even moved to the bench. You got Kobe White that had 4 assists. Tristan Thompson had 1 assist. So the assist numbers were flying today for the Chicago Bulls. But that's been the theme with the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls games. They're very entertaining games for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Not a lot of defense and a whole lot of offense. And that's why every Atlanta Hawks or Bulls game you've watched this season, I've watched all 4 of them, have been very exciting and very back and forth basketball. So it was a good series to versus the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, it was a great time. But at the end of the day, at this point in time, many of the Bulls fans will be frustrating at the loss that we suffered today, and it is what it is. You got to pick it up on the chin. You got to move on. You got to be prepared for the next game. You can't really dwell on moments like this, especially when you have a back-to-back. But I can completely understand when people are frustrated. I can completely understand that people are very angry with the Chicago Bulls team, and they have rights to do that because they're not competing with the elite of the elite. So you've got to find ways to pick up your victories in this March stretch. And games like Atlanta, games like the Pistons that will be coming up soon, games like even maybe the Sacramento Kings, the Pelicans. We've got those types of games coming up. Those are the games you've got to take advantage of. So I can understand the frustration out of the Chicago Bulls fans today. But you got to give credit. It is what it is. You got to give credit to Atlanta. You got to give credit to Trae Young. You got to give credit to that team, and we'll see what happens with their season. I have a feeling they're going to make the play-in and potentially even get out of the play-in. So that's where I see Atlanta Hawks season at the moment. But yeah, looking at, I guess, the must improve and stuff of that nature. For me, it's a bit of a difficult one because, again, it's mainly the defensive end that really went wrong. I thought offensively, almost every single one of our guys had a really good game. Again, when you see 9 points out of Troy Brown Jr., that's a great game from Troy Brown Jr. You see, obviously, Kobe White have 15 and Tristan Thompson have 8. Derrick Jones Jr. had 4. These are really solid games, in my opinion, from the bench. And then you're looking at the starters. Obviously, you got Ayo that played really good in the first half, especially defensively. Vucevic went into the paint, did some dominating things in the paint. DeMar was doing a very DeMar type of performance. Obviously, we need 30 out of DeMar these days to even get close to wins. But he didn't have that, but he got 22 and 9. I thought DeMar and Zach LaVine were in playmaker mode today, and I thought they played good basketball, in my opinion. Obviously, Zach LaVine was really, really good today, in my opinion, as well. So it's a tough one to really pick and choose who I think should be the must improve. So in a loss, I think you have to give one. So for me personally, it's a bit of a tough situation, but I'm going to pick Derrick Jones Jr. for 4 points and 1 rebound. Again, he played the least amount of minutes, so I don't really know what else to say. You could say maybe Vucevic on the pick and roll defense, but I thought Vucevic offensively was fantastic today. Did as much as he could. I thought Javonte Green was fine off of the starting lineup. I think 2 rebounds needs to be improved, but again, it's just picking and choosing. I don't really have too much to say for the must improve, especially on the offensive end. The player of the game for me, I actually think it was Zach LaVine. I don't know why. DeMar DeRozan was always going to be a great player in today's game as well. 22 and 9. You can't really, it's a bit difficult to go away from that and to turn from that, but I don't know. I just felt like watching Zach LaVine today. He was the guy that was really efficient. He was the guy that kept on playing, had some good shots. The thing with Zach LaVine, and the thing that goes around with most of this team, defensively, one-on-one, we're not good enough as a team. When they isolate guys like Zach LaVine, like DeMar DeRozan, like pretty much anybody on this team, we are not good enough to really play defense at the highest level at the moment. And Zach LaVine is a big part of that. He had 1 good block on Trae Young. That's obviously the highlight. But for Zach LaVine, I don't know if it's just laziness, if it's lack of, I guess, awareness on the situation. But a bunch of guys defensively today are sleeping on the job, and that's why they scored 130 points. Obviously, it's not the main reason. Trae Young is the main reason he had 40 points today, and I thought Ayo had a good first half defensively. So it's not the main reason, but you got to pick up on the defensive end, ladies and gentlemen, and that's where our weaknesses lie. And if we had a good defensive game, we would not lose a game like this against Atlanta. So Zach LaVine's my player of the game, but again, I think criticism throughout the whole team defensively is very much warranted, and offensively, I thought we did what we could. It was a good offensive game and a very bad defensive game, and that's why we walk away with the loss. 3 losses in a row now, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a pretty sight to see. Our record is 39-24. The losses continue to pile up for the Chicago Bulls. We got to figure out where our next win is, because if we're losing a game like this, only harder competition and harder games are coming up in the future. So with that being said, we've got a back-to-back tomorrow, and our game is going to be against the Milwaukee Bucks. There could be a lot of, I guess, tension in this game, let's say, between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, we want to get a little bit of payback against them for that last game. It was a very close game down. I think it was in Milwaukee. We lost by 4 points in that game. And, of course, the big injury to Alex Caruso. So, of course, we want to get a little bit of payback against Milwaukee. We want to win the game against Milwaukee, but we have to prove that we can. That's the biggest point of discussion for the Chicago Bulls. Again, we still are second in the Eastern Conference. Philly's right on our tail, and if Philly win their game coming up against the Cavs and we lose against the Bucks, all of a sudden, there we are, ladies and gentlemen, right in 3rd seed, and then we've lost our spot that we've had for quite some time, the 1st and the 2nd place in the Eastern Conference. We've had that position for a long, long time, and it could potentially be in jeopardy tomorrow. They verse the Cavs. If they beat the Cavs and we lose to the Bucks, it's done for us. So we have to win this game tomorrow, and it's going to be a very difficult game, but again, it's all about the Bulls proving themselves to us. They have to prove to the fans, to the media, to everybody around the NBA that they can beat the top teams. I consider Milwaukee Bucks a top team. I know they're, what are they? They're 5th or they're 4th in the Eastern Conference at the moment. So, again, they are, in my opinion, when I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they're the defending champions for a reason. They are a top team in the Eastern Conference. So this is a game where we have to prove that we can beat teams like the Milwaukee Bucks and obviously teams like Philadelphia after that. These are the 2 games looking forward to now that the Bulls have something to prove. And let's see if they could go out and prove it to us. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls. Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you against the Milwaukee Bucks, and potentially I'll see you later today as well for a Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.
It's not a game, it's a